but we'll go ahead and get started. So, patch 3.2, Final Fantasy XIV, it's coming in just a couple hours, and it's going to be a bunch of new content for the game. We're going to kind of go over the patch notes, some of the content. You can see the trailer playing in the background. That's like all the biggest stuff that's coming. It's going to be huge. Everyone's super looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and get started. So, patch 3.2, it's kind of like it's on the regular schedule again. We had to wait quite a while for patch 3.1, something like 5.5 months.
Yeah, it was a long time, and people got really frustrated about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, coming from other MMOs, we've had to wait maybe like half a year or more, almost a full year for a content patch, and then we kind of have a 5.5 month gap, and I'm kind of scratching my head like, really? You guys are upset? But
Yeah, I feel like we've been spoiled, and so people really came to expect the 3 month, like three and a half month like turnaround time. But the dev team even came out and said like, yeah, we needed a vacation.
yeah, I remember reading something about that. They needed 1 or 2 weeks off, and Yoshida, being an absolute workaholic, was like, I just played Final Fantasy XIV the whole time, and I gave my staff a break, and they went and did things, and I just kind of played my game a little while. So yeah, so patch 3.2, it's back on kind of like that 3.5 month schedule. It's coming out tomorrow, February 23rd. And as far as I know, and what they've hinted so far, is that that's going to be the schedule from now on, that we can expect 3.3 and maybe 3.5, 3.4 every 3.5 months or so. I kind of got tripped up there by the time, but... So things are going to kind of get more regular from now on, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they pretty much said that, and with FanFest later this year, it looks like they're back on schedule to announce 4.0 and all that. So they definitely want to keep to that schedule.
So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the notes here real quickly, and we're going to kind of go through these piecemeal and just kind of get some of your impressions. Chat, definitely let us know like your thoughts. I see a couple people from our free company on Ultras. Definitely feel free to chime in with all of your awesome opinions.
They can't play Street Fighter, so they're in here.
Oh man, Street Fighter, I hope that's going well for you guys. Heard that's a little bit contentious right now. I don't want to hurt any feelings, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, we get more of the Heavensward story this time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, even though we've kind of already been spoiled on, I guess, the quote-unquote big reveal, which I still laugh at. What was it the other day when you posted that scan with Minfilia? Some guy was like, "Oh, spoilers!"
Yeah, I mean it kind of is, but I mean when it's like it's in the patch notes right here on screen, and it's kind of like, well.
Yeah, well, not only that, it's in like the artwork. So I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, I guess it can't be helped, but I guess we're seeing Minfilia again after all this time, and it looks like someone's getting punched. It looks like it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually, like, looking at the patch notes, it looks like the main scenario portion is definitely a little bit longer than what we saw in 3.1 as well, which is good because, 3.1, well, what they had and it was good. I felt that ultimately it was really short.
Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little more than a dozen main scenario quests, which usually come packed with cutscenes and stuff. So
right, and I feel that's about normal.
So, what are the biggest story beats that you're looking to see play out in patch 3.2?
Well, I'm actually I kind of hope that they give us more insight into what's going on with like the Warriors of Darkness and what they're all about, because they showed up in 3.1 and you're kind of like, oh, these guys, and then they attacked you, and then they went off, and then you see that scene at the end with a certain somebody who's supposed to be on your side, who is apparently helping them.
Oh man, betrayal ton.
Yeah, I remember when I saw what was it, the end of 3.5, when you see him, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. I believe that was at the very end of all of the Realm Reborn stuff? Or was that the very end of 3.1?
No, the very end of 2.5.
2.5, that's right. It's actually been quite a while now. So, let's go ahead and kind of scroll down through these quest items here. I'll look at some of the Alexander story quests. I want to pick your brain about that too, because I know that compared to the Binding Coil of Bahamut, you are looking for a little bit more on the story front when it comes to Alexander. Can you explain why?
Well, the Coil story I felt was just so good, because for anybody who played 1.0 or even saw that end of an era video, like the Binding Coil of Bahamut really took that video and then tied it into the actual A Realm Reborn story. So there's a lot of importance when it comes to that, and like everything about Coil was really, I thought it was really well done. And as far as music design, the boss fights were really fun, and there was a sense of like epicness. I guess you could say, when you were going through there. I feel like Coil was definitely an experience.
Yeah, I think coming from 1.0 and then, seeing that huge end of an era trailer that came at the end of 1.0, it felt like you were definitely fulfilling something pretty great by the time you got to
definitely.
the end of Binding Coil.
Especially, when you get to the end of Turn 5, for example, and you see two specific characters from 1.0, and you're like, oh my gosh! I recognize these characters, and before Turn 6 and whatever came out, people were left wondering, were these characters going to come back into play or not? And so I feel like Coil had a lot more mystery and a lot more tension behind it than what we've been seeing in Alexander so far.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see, what they'll do with this story next, because, it looks like Alexander is slowly emerging from this huge lake in the middle of the Dravanian hinterlands. And where it's going, for what reason, it's all still a mystery right now. It has something to do with the Illuminati goblins, but I don't know, that's kind of a mystery too so far. And I feel like, we really didn't know that much at the beginning of the first set of Binding Coil story scenes. It was kind of enigmatic. There was some spoiler stuff, but we didn't really get a real understanding of what's going on really until like the final Coil, when it was kind of like, okay, now they're playing all the cards that they've drawn.
Yeah, true. I mean, you did sort of see a little bit of it toward the end of the end of second Coil, but yeah, final Coil was definitely when they stepped up and they were like, okay, this is what's going on, and this is going to be like the ultimate ending of this raid tier.
So, speaking of story, there is a side scenario that is coming back, and it's been quite a while since this appeared in Final Fantasy XIV. He's been gone too long. He can't be forgotten.
He absolutely cannot be forgotten.
I wonder if chat knows who we're talking about. Probably not, right? So,
well, I mean, I have to wonder, some people say they haven't even done this quest, and it's really unfortunate for those people who haven't, because it's actually some of the best parts of the game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his quest line, and some of them have really fun trials that have been associated with it. For those who don't know what we're talking about the Hildebrand Agent of Inquiry side scenario. And so, the Realm Reborn series, each new patch, they would introduce a new chapter. And we didn't get one in 2.1, we got a scenario involving a school in Ishgard. And that was interesting, but, it's just, there's a Hildebrand-shaped hole in my heart, and it feels like 3.2 is finally going to deliver more Hildebrand.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the patch notes, it only looks like it's 2 quests, but I mean, at least he's finally coming back.
Exactly, and maybe it's deceptive too. There could be quite a lot of cutscenes, and it doesn't look like there's a trial associated with this chapter, but that's fine by me as long as we get more.
Yeah, I mean, we already got what they gave us the Ultros, and then two was it two Gilgamesh trials with him. So I
Hmm.
mean, that's actually quite a bit already.
Yeah, I definitely feel that if they're going to do more trials with Hildebrand, that we'll probably get a tease in 3.2 if they're going to do one. We'll see. It's hard to say because what if they were to say alternate it where 3.3 or 3.35 had an update to the Saint Endelim Scholastic quest, which is the Ishgard quest. They could probably alternate it this time, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could definitely see them doing that. And I actually just finished that quest, and I did like it, even though it's not I guess as humorous as the Hildebrand stuff was, but it was still pretty
Yeah,
fun to do.
it's got more of a serious tone. There is a character that appears in that quest line that's from the Hildebrand saga, if we want to call it that. And it was kind of an interesting twist, I guess.
Yeah, when he showed up, I was like, yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I was kind of like, is this gonna take like a comedy route or what? And then it was kind of not so much a comedy route, very actually quite serious and kind of tying into like this overarching narrative of okay, so what is Ishgar gonna do now that like everything that they've known about the Dragon Song War is pretty much a lie.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do like that too because it's expanding on some of the stuff we saw in the main scenario, and it's completely optional. But when you take the time to do it, you actually get a little more sense of what's going on after you beat the main quest.
So scrolling down through the patch notes, I'm getting to the Anima Zodiac Weapon quest line. So, how far did you manage to finish your relic for the last patch?
Yeah, I did actually a few weeks ago. It's been now, and I didn't really rush out to do it. I figured, well, we have all this time before 3.2 or whatever, so I wasn't gonna, I guess, no life it to completion. So I
Mm-hmm.
finally, I did a little bit here and there, a few roulettes or whatever each day, and I eventually got it. It took me, I want to say, like maybe a month, just doing it really slowly, so it really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of slacked this last patch. I've had a lot less time to devote to this game since I've been streaming on the channel and whatever. It's kind of taken a little bite out of my Final Fantasy XIV time. So my relic is it's blue and it's glowy, but it is not the final product quite yet. But it's okay because I feel that maybe in a patch or two it's going to be quite easy to complete. And that's how it's always been with Relic, right?
Oh yeah, well, not only that, I mean, if you have seen the rest of the patch notes, you already know that there's going to be some easier weapons to get in the meantime. So it's not like they're putting the next step of the relic in right away. You're gonna have to wait for that. So you still have time to work on the relic, which will eventually, hopefully, be the best thing that you can get.
Yeah, I'll finally complete it again one day. I can't have all of the RNG luck like I had in version 2.0 when it first came out, where I managed to finish the relic in like 2 or 3 days, and everyone was
Yeah,
really mad at me. They were salty, like, "Oh
yeah.
man, how did you get it done so quickly?"
I was one of those people because I remember spending like 7 hours on one fate trying to get the item, and I was like seeing all these other people getting the items, and I wasn't, and I was just getting really upset.
But it seems like every 3 months, though, when you come back to Final Fantasy XIV, if you've been gone, it's pretty easy to catch up, even to do Relic. It slowly gets relaxed, and the grind isn't quite as huge because there's, time to catch up.
Yeah, which honestly I don't have a problem with. I think it makes perfect sense because they don't want people stuck on that super old content forever.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. So, scrolling down even more, we've got the new dungeons. And there's two this time. There is the Anti-Tower, and there is the Lost City of Omnipore hard mode. So the Anti-Tower, if you can see by the trailer, it's kind of creepy. It's a new dungeon, brand new, but it looks like it's upside down, and it looks like there's some Final Fantasy references in there. Did you happen to notice any of them?
Yeah, there's I think from Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, the Calcabrina doll.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, oh man,
Yeah, that should
this
definitely.
dungeon looks really cool.
Yeah, I love the music on it too.
Yeah, I think like out of the two, I'm definitely looking forward to that one the most. I mean, you know, the normal Lost City, I was kind of, you know, whatever on it. It's all right. The music is really good, but I don't know. It definitely wasn't my favorite place. So when they announced a hard mode, I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, it seems like right now with the hard mode dungeons, they're kind of taking the new ones that they released in the patch 2.x series and kind of remixing them for the 3.x series, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually a little surprised with how Pharaoh Serious Hard went because, you know, a lot of people didn't like the original, but the hard mode actually wasn't bad.
What's nice is that they do kind of mix it up quite a bit, where you're not taking the exact same route through the dungeon. There's different bosses, different monsters, and kind of like a different look throughout the entire thing. And so, you know, they could have always taken the easy route and just, you know, scaled up the monster difficulty, but it seems like they do definitely design them at the outset to have two different paths.
Oh, definitely. Which is good because, you know, they're obviously reusing them and you can't really fault them for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to reuse stuff, at least, you know, kind of change it up in a way that's kind of creative, and, you know, changing the look, changing the bosses, all that's all really cool. So, I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about the new trial, and that's going to be Sephiroth. And a lot of people, when I posted the original news story on Nova Crystallis, they were like, hey, this isn't Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth.
Yeah, I saw that and I just kind of shook my head like, you guys.
Oh man, Yoshi P lies.
The name is similar, but it's definitely not the same.
So, for those who don't know, the Sephiroth that you see in the trailer is not, in fact, Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. It's a throwback to Final Fantasy VI's Warring Triad. Now, you're probably saying, well, there wasn't one that was named Sephiroth, but in the original design for that boss, actually, they gave them all names, and it was, in fact, Tetsuya Nomura that designed all three of them, the Warring Triad. And you see those designs actually in Oz's Law right now. And that's actually where we're going to be unlocking them come patch time. So there are three huge, well, I want to say primals, but we're not entirely sure yet if they are, in fact, kind of the conventional primals. And over the patches, we've kind of learned that the definition of primal is kind of muddy. It's not really everything we've been expecting to. So, like, they're not Final Fantasy summons this time, though, which kind of surprised me. Do you remember that developers room and the one primal hint, the Final Fantasy summon hint that they were teasing, but it's not a reality quite yet?
Wasn't it Doom Train?
Yeah, Doom Train.
Yeah, I actually really want to see that happen.
Yeah, me too, totally. I mean, I really am hyped to see, like, the Warring Triad, because it's been quite a while since we've seen them referenced, and it's going to be kind of cool to see them.
Definitely. I mean, it was already cool seeing them in Oz's Law, which, for anybody who's familiar with that zone, it's actually, that zone itself is sort of, like, already a reference to Final Fantasy VI. So, to have trial fights based on that game as well is actually really awesome.
So what we know about the Sephiroth fight is that, well, according to the trailer, he gets pretty huge, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm really curious how that fight's gonna happen because, when they first showed him off in one of the live letters, he looked pretty small, and I was like, okay, well, that's pretty much how all the other primals have been. Even Bahamut, who is actually like this massive, primal, but to then in the new patch video they showed Sephiroth and he comes back and he's just giant. So I'm really curious how the actual mechanics in that fight are going to work.
I think the few comments that we do have, and I remember reading this quite a while ago, but they said it's a flashy fight, which I can definitely see by the trailer. But they said that there's some sort of kind of like a jump rope mechanic, and I don't know if it's going to be like a visual jump rope, but maybe like,
Oh,
yeah, and it seems like it's not entirely clear if you can fall off the side, but I honestly wouldn't put it past the person who designed Titan to make you fly off the edge.
I think actually I did read that you can fall off.
Oh boy, Titan Extreme all over again. I am clenching so hard right now.
Oh, Titan was rough. Even Titan hard mode was really rough.
Gosh, yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been so long now, and it's been nerfed a bit, and then Echo, kind of makes everything quite a bit easier, but man, and everyone was really kind of new to the game still, and it felt like Titan hard mode, that was crazy. I think, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but the first time I did Titan hard mode, um,
Were you on the floor? Because I certainly was.
oh, I was definitely, and then, not expecting, I basically got carried,
Yeah,
is the terminology.
I think a lot of us did, myself included. I'm not ashamed to say.
But to be fair, though, I mean, since I was carried, I felt obligated to help a ton of people in the
Oh
free
yeah,
company get through it. And, well, I mean, I guess it's easy for me to talk because as a tank in that hard move fight,
you
back in the original...
basically could just alt tab and
Yeah. Well, you could after the Echo, after a couple shots of Echo, like, at the beginning, you definitely had to use your cooldowns wisely. Like,
oh
because that,
yeah, back when people were like putting on what earth earth resistant gear, whatever.
oh yeah, people trying that. Oh, when we had, like, Dark Light and Dungeon Gear to do Titan hard mode with.
I remember going in there. I had AF1, so just like straight level 50, and yeah, it was bad.
So what have you thought about like the 3.0, 3.x series extreme encounters so far? We've had Bismarck Extreme, Ravana Extreme, Thornton Spoiler Extreme, and then
I really liked Thornton. I thought that fight was fantastic. It came at a time too when people were frustrated about the raid and some other things that were going on in the game. So it was really, really nice breath of fresh air. Thornton was, and actually, I really liked Ravana as well. Definitely reminded me a lot of Titan, and not only can you fall off, but there's a lot of, I guess, you basically have to learn the script, and once you do that, it's pretty easy. But Bismarck, I felt could have been done a lot better. He looks cool, but I don't know. The fight, it's alright, but most of the time you're not even fighting him. You're fighting his little minions, and that's, it's, like I said, it's alright, but it's definitely not what I expected.
yeah, well, Bismarck Extreme. It's hard for me to, because I feel like in MMOs there's been so many trials where you're like fighting on top of a huge enemy monster's back and you're like destroying parts of him. I'm thinking back to like Deathwing in WoW, and it's like I know you haven't played that far in WoW, but God, like I really am not excited to relive that kind of a fight. But yeah, I think Bismarck was, I like the music and the assets, like the art of it was really cool. I guess like I do have a confession. I have actually not cleared the extreme primals quite yet, and I've been kind of staving them off because, and there's a big reason for this too, and you might know a little something about this. There are new mounts that will drop from the extreme.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we found out about those mounts, they're there really wasn't a point to go back in there until the until the patch hit, because you might get them out.
Yeah, so rather than, I'm going to pull a picture of them up right now.
They're a lot different than what I was expecting, actually.
Yeah, the Ravana ones, they're both kind of like eagle mounts. And
Yeah.
they have like different colored wings. The red one is Ravana, and the blue one here is Bismarck's.
Now, I wonder how the drop rate is going to be on those, because the primal pony drop mount was really it was the struggle for a long time until they fixed it.
Yeah, I remember participating in quite a few farms, and although he's not here with us tonight, Mr. Damiani is quite known on our server for being one of the first people to get the, what is it called? The
Kieran?
Kieran.
Yeah, I think actually he might have been world first on that.
World first. Oh man.
Maybe. I know he parked like right outside where you get the quest, like right before the servers went down that day, and I think he was around right as they came up, so he could have been among the first.
Yeah, so I guess Thornton and Sephiroth are going to have one too, so all the more incentive to keep farming them.
Yeah,
So-
and I still want to go back into Thornton and get the get enough tokens at least for the barding, because I never did get that.
So I'm in a paladin, and my thing is like, I like collecting the swords. I know it's kind of crazy, but my thing is the swords, not ponies, not flying mounts. Because I gotta have those weapons. And so
Yeah, I mean I collect bows as well since I play bard, so I understand what you're talking about. I mean, I recently got enough tokens to buy the Alexander weapon, and instead of buying something, I guess useful, I bought the bow because I wanted to use it as glamour.
glamour is endgame, as they say, right?
Yeah, that's the real end game.
So going back to the patch notes, we also have new Beast Tribe quests, and we had in patch 3.1 we had the Vanu Vanu out in the Sea of Clouds,
Yes,
but this
and
time,
I actually completed them, believe it or not.
oh man, yeah, you didn't do much of the Beastman quests back in 2.0, did
No,
you?
I used to be completely against them because, like, I would always hear you guys complain about having to do, like, the fates or the ones where you have to carry, like, I don't know, a pumpkin.
Oh, the pumpkins, oh man.
And so, like, hearing all the complaints, I was like, ugh, I don't want to do that. And then I saw, like, how many you had to do to rank up, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And, like, I slowly, over a very long period of time, did actually finish the Sahagin ones, but
Mhm.
I mean, I was doing them when I was really bored, but
Oh man, like, I'm sure you have lots of wonderful memories of being heavied by water damage.
oh yeah, yep.
Oh man, that
But
was a
and
joy.
then I started recently trying to do some of the other ones, but again, you get so little like reputation points, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
But when they came out with the Vanu Vanu ones, like you get so many points per quest turn, and I was like, well, I'll do these because it seems like they want people to get through them quicker. So I did them, and the quests themselves were actually a lot more fun. So hopefully the new ones will be just like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, if there'd be any more after the Nath, which is the bug-like race that's out in the Dravanian Forelands. So it seems like they're kind of out of. I mean, I hate to say it, but could they possibly do something with the Mughals out in the Churning Mists?
Maybe. I mean, there's enough of them out there.
I think everyone's got Mughal fatigue from Heaven's Word.
Yeah, maybe. Although maybe now that there's been enough time that people have kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, one good thing I like about how they've done them in this game is that there's nothing super important tied behind the dailies and finishing finishing them, you have the daily obligation to get your reputation all the way up, and that can help you buy some stuff that's, you know, a little bit harder to find on the market board. You have to go gather it yourself.
Well, there's some things that you can't even buy, like, you know, those minions.
Yeah.
And then each of them have a mount that you can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. You know, and there is stuff with Relic tied to it too, where you can, as an option, you know, do the daily quests to earn items that you can get to slowly make your way towards that next.
See, I saw that, and then I saw how many you needed to do, and then I was like, nope, it's not happening.
So about that, I mean, you can kind of mix it up a little bit more. Like, I had heard at one point people were complaining, oh, I have to do Alexander, I have to do Burden of the Father 800 times to get this one piece of currency, but was that true at all? Did that ever pan out?
Okay, so here's how it worked. You needed to do any one of the 4 stages in Alexander 10 times to get one item. And you needed 20 different item, or 20 of 4 different items to get your relic.
So that definitely got people into Alexander Gordius, the normal mode at least.
Yeah, I mean, the queue times were amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I did a lot of Alexander to get my relic. But
yeah, I remember hearing quite a few people.
It was mostly the first one and then the 4th one, because doing the other ones in Duty Finder is a nightmare.
So, speaking of Duty Finder, there's a couple new features added to it, and we're going to talk about the mentor system in just a little bit, but you'll be able to actually see, and I'm going to try to scroll to find it here, you'll be able to see how many people are queuing, or how many groups are queuing for a certain instance.
Oh, yes. Let's see.
I'm going to skip a little way down here, but I want to talk about that now since we're on duties right now. These patch notes are always enormous, it takes me forever.
Yeah, they seem kind of spread out this time, too. Oh, here we go. It's under the Alexander stuff.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see, like, how many, is it parties that are queuing for each individual duty?
It looks like it. It says players can now view the number of parties recruiting for duties.
Good luck.
So I assume what it means is if somebody already has like a party finder open, or it looks like you can just recruit straight from the duty finder.
Yeah, I went ahead and finally found it, but yeah, it looks like you can you can see here. I'm kind of wondering, like, is this just on your server, or would this be like your cluster, or
That's a good question. It doesn't really say. I know they want to eventually try and get like cross-server party finder things going, but we're obviously not there yet.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I don't remember this too clearly, but they probably wanted to get something down by, was it 3.25? Maybe like the half patch we could see, like that, looking for raid system that's basically, it'll allow you, you know, no matter what server you're on, you can basically find people to do the high-end raids with.
Yeah, and that'll be nice because, I don't know, like sometimes, at least on Ultros, I feel like there are days when there's a lot of people looking for groups, and then there's days where there's just not.
Looks like they're going to add some sort of feature to the duty status window where it's going to tell you, like, your role waiting list. And I'm curious because maybe that'll give people, like, a better idea of what to expect as far as queue times go. I mean, as you know, like, sometimes queuing for 2 minutes means maybe queuing for an hour if there's some sort of hiccup in the system or...
Yeah, or if you're trying to queue for World of Darkness, and
Oh man, trying to get that minion.
I am still trying to get that minion.
I noticed that the community tries to do Crystal Tower runs on Sundays, like Sunday afternoons. They try to do like I don't know, maybe it's called like Tower of Power or something. But they
Yeah, I saw that, and I haven't really thought about it until you just said it. So maybe next time.
and that's kind of something that I noticed with PvP too. Is that on Fridays the community tries to organize kind of like what is it called? I've seen it before, like Friday night fights. I've seen it on Reddit and some other forums and some other
PvP
spaces.
Stuff, yeah.
So speaking of that, we have an interesting new feature with PvP, and it's called the Feast. And what's this all about?
Well, I looked at it and I'm actually kind of scared because of the description, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
gonna
don't
be.
know if you saw the official description that we posted for it, but I was like, oh, this sounds pretty scary.
So we haven't had a real trip to the Wolves Den in quite a while, and we're going to be going back here for the Feast. And so the original Wolves Den, all that content's going to still be in the game, but it's going to be renamed to The Fold. And this new feature is
Oh, that
called...
makes sense.
Yeah, because they kind of want to, and I hate to use this term esports, but it seems like they do kind of want to gear things a little bit more towards that kind of audience.
Yeah, and I mean, there are
knows, like...
people who only play PvP who do play this game, so I can see them wanting to cater to those people.
And you know, I've never been a big PvP person, but when they introduced Frontlines and actually Seal Rock was actually the point where I actually had quite a bit of time logged queuing for those matches. And,
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of, Frontlines before Seal Rock was in, and it was alright. I got up to like level 32 or rank 32 or whatever, but then I got bored, and then they came out with Seal Rock, and I thought it was a lot better, and at least easier to not get like screwed over every match by some opposing team or whatever.
I think one of the biggest problems I ran into is that, and you know, it's not really cheating. It's just more or less, you know, you run into teams that are obviously coordinating through voice over IP, and when you're queuing alone, I mean, it's not really cheating, but it's kind of like, well, that's definitely an advantage when you can definitely tell, like, they just absolutely stomp you in a very coordinated fashion.
The easiest way that I found to tell was like if you get in there and there's a bunch of people riding that ADS mount, it's typically
bad
pre-made.
sign. It's a GG right there.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I really loved in Steel Rock, and you know, whether I was on the receiving end or on the giving end of this, but the sandwiching were, you know, it was mostly like and I play on Maelstrom, and you, I believe, are you still Flames?
Yeah, I went back to Flames.
Yeah, I remember you were Adder for quite a while, but
yeah, I was. It was a mistake.
Oh really? So what made you switch back? Just the people, or what do you think?
Adders, for a while, they weren't winning, so I was like, well, I'm losing way more than I ever lost when I was in Flames, so I switched back.
Yeah, I mean, I started off in Maelstrom for like, gosh, up until the first front lines, and I'm still with them, but boy, I mean...
Yeah, and I didn't want to join Maelstrom because their queue times are like twice as long for some reason.
Yeah. Definitely Maelstrom. I agree with you, Lapel Hero.
No, that's Galen, okay?
Oh, I know it's Galen, and he's totally right. I mean, he's wrong a lot of the time, but I mean, this is one instance where he...
You know, I don't know if he's wrong a lot of the times, but he's definitely not right about that.
So it looks like we can dye airships in here. the estate airships.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, I guess.
I haven't
I
really
don't-
played around too much with it because we're in a huge free company and there's usually like a few people that have kind of taken upon themselves to kind of
Right,
work on
right.
this.
Plus, like, you don't actually see the airship go do anything, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably good for like the super crafters, like because apparently they can get some pretty good gear or pretty good items out of there.
Yeah, that's actually how you get one of the rarest minions in the game, which I actually don't have.
Oh man, the ugh. How are you gonna get that minion?
Um,
Begging, maybe? Is it tradable on the market board?
it is, yeah.
Which one is that again?
It's the Iron Dwarf minion.
Oh, that one,
You
yeah.
had to get like the iron cores from the airship missions. Oh, Hunting Hawk. I will. That minion is stupid because
You're
out of
never gonna
all-
get it, right?
out of all the diadem that I've ever done, I never saw it once. And
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm gonna go back in there. So yeah, at this point, it's like, well, I mean, it is a cool minion, but is it really worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about the diadem because I mean they are updating it for this patch, but I'm kind of curious to see like how people will use that going forward. It seems like I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I definitely know that patch 3.1. I mean, there didn't seem to be too many people doing that after a certain point. After they had kind of nerfed it a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly, like, the day that they nerfed it, I went in there once and I was like, well, I'm probably not gonna come back in here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how they're gonna treat that going forward. It seems like they definitely kind of wanted to take that back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I feel like it has a lot of potential. They really need to look at it. I feel like, I don't know, they say that they didn't think that people would abuse it, but I don't know how they couldn't think that, I guess. I don't know.
I have pulled up on screen here some new furnishings for housing, and one of them is like a model T-Rex skeleton.
Oh, yeah, that thing looks so cool.
What's the one that's right next to it on the right? Is that...
That's Faust,
Faust?
from Alexander.
Oh man.
Everybody's favorite friend.
Oh man, the suffering and the pain is real on that one.
Yeah, and then you had the mini Faust, his little minions that showed up in A4S, and yeah.
So I guess we're gonna have a minion version of that too.
Yeah, I saw that, which I kind of expected we'd have some sort of minion out of the existing Alexander, but then we didn't. And I was kind of like, oh, well then.
I think by far one of the most interesting features that they're gonna add as a furnishing is the orchestrion.
I'm actually really looking forward to that because, well, I mean, you know how much I love music, especially for this game.
You and me both. I think we have all of the soundtracks, physical versions bought.
Yep, and the next one actually comes out in a couple days, so definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I definitely have mine pre-ordered, so I'm definitely going to be listening to that. What's also nice about those soundtracks is that you can, and they're Blu-rays, you can basically pull them off and just put them on your hard drive. And I think most Blu-ray soundtracks kind of do that now anyway, but...
Yeah, I know some people are frustrated because it's, I guess, a little extra thing you have to do for them, but Square's all about the Blu-ray music now.
Yeah, well, I'm actually really glad that they've been able to put out like the soundtracks. I mean, they're not very timely. I mean, like you're not going to get like the Heavensward soundtrack on Heavensward's release date, and that's probably because they probably need a little more time and they probably want to flesh it out a little bit. Typically, these soundtracks have had about 100 songs on them.
Yeah, they're pretty lengthy. Let's see. Like even the last one, the Before the Fall one, was pretty big.
Yeah, so the orchestrion, it's kind of like a jukebox, and you can place it in your estate or your house, or your private room, it looks like, from the notes here. And you can collect orchestrion rolls, which you can then kind of unlock songs in this jukebox, and it'll kind of play in your house. And apparently, depending on where you put it, like the sound will emanate from that location rather than just change the background music.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that's going to be nice too because, I love the housing theme, but my god, we've had it for like 2 years now, and it's like,
Yeah.
something else please, like, can we just change the music just a little bit?
Yeah, especially when you're AFKing over there. It's kind of like,
Mhm.
gonna
Yeah.
mute this now. But I guess my question is, how am I gonna get that answers one? Because it's in there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Just taking a look at the list right now. It looks like there's different categories of songs. Looks like there's probably one for trials, and I'm assuming that if you want that Titan theme, you're probably going to have to grind a little Titan.
That's fine though. I mean, Titan's okay now, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it drops from hard mode, that's no big deal, right?
Well, even extreme, I feel like you can just face roll it now if you go in there unsynced, so it doesn't really matter.
Man, Titan Extreme used to scare the shit out of me. And comes from, like, a tank that doesn't really have to do as much as everyone else. But, like, I remember struggling so much with, like, when the ads popped, and and this was back when I was playing on my, like, terrible computer.
Your, like, potato computer.
And it was like, oh my, I'm playing this at like 20 frames a second, like, oh my god, please
I
let me
think
hit.
PS3 players were having a better time than you were back then.
Well, I mean, like, my game looked better, but my frame rate was absolute garbage, and oh god,
Yeah,
like,
I remember going in there with you and like, Grim, get the ads, and you were just like, what?
mhm. Oh, it was so much of a struggle. But I eventually got it, and, I think that was the one fight in A Realm Reborn that I absolutely dreaded going into, just because, like, just a split second, and I think the biggest part of it...
A lot of people, I mean, you weren't the only one, a lot of people were really afraid of that fight, and I remember it being this huge wall for a lot of people, and the FC would try to get together and try and get people through it, and sometimes it really was a struggle.
Yeah, I don't know, it was either that or Moogle Thornmarch Extreme
Oh,
that
God.
really just... Thornmarch, I think, gave people, like, PTSD or something like that.
I hate that fight so much. And it's not because it's hard. It's not hard at all. It's just very tedious.
I think, like, the biggest struggle with that was, like, trying to farm it later because of how the fight is designed. Like, if you DPS too much, you can basically screw it all up.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we actually went in there the other day, unsynced, and it was pretty hilarious actually because you can basically blow up everything in the beginning, and yeah, not a good time.
So, on my end, I'm looking at some of the Alexander Midas stuff right now, and I suppose we'll kind of transition into that part because, oh boy, there's definitely a lot to talk about as we transition out of Gordius finally.
Thank God. I'm done with Gordius. I never want to go back in there.
So, I did a lot of raiding in version 2.0, A Realm Reborn, like the Binding Coil, Second Coil, Final Coil, and I have a few people in chat right now that I used to raid with, and they can attest to how absolutely terrible I am at everything.
No, I wouldn't say that.
As long as Red doesn't miss petrifaction and fall asleep at his keyboard, I think we're good. Oh, is he in here? Oh crap! I think I'm in trouble now.
Oh man, look, it's like half of your team in there.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks. We have X-Tech, we have Galen, we just need drama in here now.
She's probably sleeping by now, though.
Yeah, it is past her bedtime.
But yeah, Coil was fun, and even when I was in the same group as you, it was still pretty fun. Even when we were wiping forever on turn 4, whatever it was.
Yeah, Binding Coil 1, that was kind of like your first experience at rating period in an MMO, right?
Yeah, I distinctly remember being asked to go do it, and I was like, okay, I have no idea what this is. Like, I had no idea about the concept of the lockout or any of that. So, when we were still working on turn two, and the next week rolled over, and you guys were like, oh yeah, we have to do turn one again. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely kind of a trial by fire for me too. Like, I had rated before in other games, but nothing, quite prepared me for kind of how punishing Binding Second and Final Coil were. I mean, they were all really great, especially Final Coil finally getting turn 13 towards the end of A Realm Reborn was really gratifying. Especially as like a paladin tank and then doing kind of your cooldown rotation for that last part of turn 13. And I remember...
Yeah, the Akmorn.
Yeah, gosh. And then I think the first time I got to that phase, I totally like went hamburger fingers and like I accidentally like hit cover on someone too early, and I was like, oh shit, like I just completely destroyed this. And then I felt bad, and I think then 2 runs later, 2 attempts later, we got it, and I just like, I think it's recorded. I think someone in the FC recorded it, but I just like, ugh, it's over. Thank God it's over.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that fight, even during early progression in the last phase, it was pretty scary. Like, just seeing a tank mess up, and as a DPS standing in the back and seeing just the whole thing fall apart, I was like, well, gonna have to go through that 12 minutes again, guys.
oh god, just the memories. I mean, the rating aspect is so stressful, but it's like it can either, like, depending on what's going on, it can either be fun stressful or stressful. And I think, the more stressful you push yourself week after week and you're not making any progress, I think that's the point where, a lot of groups kind of...
Oh, that was definitely what happened with Alexander Gordius, for sure. I mean, just even within Ultros, it's very apparent that it broke up a lot of groups.
So why do you think that is? Like, we know that Midas and Gordius at least, is the Savage mode is a lot harder, but like, what about the design of Gordius was different than like how they set up the Coil ones, other than having like more stringent gear checks?
Well, first of all, I would say that the first 2 floors of Alexander were pretty much equal to Coil as far as difficulty and like overall stress of progression went, but as soon as people got to the 3rd floor, just everything about that fight requires constant communication. People have to pay attention. There definitely is a little bit of a gear check, and if people aren't willing to communicate and figure out what's going on, or why people aren't doing one thing here, and it's just going to fall apart. And a lot of what people were able to get away with in Coil just didn't apply anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I haven't really experienced for myself yet, since I've kind of gone casual mode the last couple of months. I did, I did do the normal ones, and I kind of wish that they'd up the difficulty even on those, because I felt that it was almost like Crystal Tower tiered difficulty in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, normal mode is almost too easy.
Yeah, I mean, as someone coming off of like Binding Coil, and understanding that hey, like the normal mode isn't going to be completely face roll, but to me, like in my experience, like yeah, I could kind of sleep through it.
Now that said, if you go into Duty Finder and try and do normal mode, it can still be a struggle for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that's probably due to people like me and you have been playing the game since launch, and I feel that we've built up, what is it, over 2 years of experience with like this game's mechanics, all the ins and outs, and so there's kind of stuff that we've kind of learned to predict and be able to deal with, whereas some of these people that are doing normal mode right now, like, they were us back when we were struggling against like Titan HM. Like, they haven't had that
Yeah.
time to like get super used to how the game works.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it that way. I guess I could see Alexander being like the new Titan hard mode.
Definitely. So, one thing I like, about Alexander is that, I mean, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, and I want to touch on this because I know there's a bunch of people that have brought this up in the chat before in our FC, but when you do the normal mode of Alexander, you get all the story, and other than gear, is there really an incentive to do Alexander Savage
um, well,
or bragging rights?
the challenge, I guess you could say, and playing with your group and hopefully having fun is another reason to do it. Hopefully not banging your head against the same fight for like 2 months. That's another reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Do you feel like and I've seen this in other MMOs too. You see people struggle for so long, and you see them hit that wall, that frustration wall, and that's at the point where they either make changes within their group, changes within their own playstyle, and push through it and get that clear, or you see them break up, maybe even quit the game for a while or quit altogether. And so,
Yeah,
do
we
you think
definitely
that?
saw that in Alexander Gordius.
Yeah, more so than Binding Coil for sure.
Oh, definitely, definitely for sure. I mean, even within our own FC, people just I feel like I don't know, more people just kind of stopped doing the raid compared to Coil.
So, going by the trailer, like, what do you think? Like, what is your feeling about some of these new encounters? I know you had something to say about the Voltron boss.
Oh, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my god! It is like totally gatai. I'm like super excited because somebody in the development team loves giant robots.
Do you know who exactly?
Maybe it's Mr. D. He's here to save us.
Man. Yeah, I'm definitely looking through some of the environments, and it's kind of like that same kind of look that Alexander Gordius had, like inside Alexander, kind of the same color palette, but it definitely looks a lot different. You can see where a character is kind of sliding down this rail, kind of like, it reminds me of that one cutscene in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, and then it looks like the background. There's like this city that's like inside of Alexander,
Yeah, it definitely looks cool. I wonder
which
if,
is pretty cool. Like I feel like from a design standpoint, it already looks better, and the bosses and some of the things that they've shown in the video already look like the fights are gonna be hopefully more fun than what we've already seen in Gordius. So I have a lot of hopes for it.
so I want to ask chat, because I know there's quite a few people that are going to be going into Gordius, or I'm sorry, Midas, as soon as it's available. Like, what do you think the biggest failing with Gordius was, or what did Gordius do right? Like, it seems like, I've, come across a lot of conversations about, why Gordius wasn't as successful as maybe the Binding Coil, Second Coil, Final Coil was. Like, what do you think they did right? What do you think that they did wrong with Gordius?
Wake the metal, somebody says. I mean, the music is definitely a positive part of it.
I think I was kind of like, wait, what is this song at first? And then it was like, yeah, I could totally jam out to this. But I know you cheat. I know
Maybe.
you... Do you want to fess up to chat right now and say that you changed the music?
When you're in the same fight for like a month, sometimes you have to change the music.
Yeah, I suppose I don't blame you. I can't fault you. I mean, God, I remember the Binding Coil boss theme. I feel like is the soundtrack to my life between 2013 and 2014 because, oh God, just like almost 5 nights a week some nights trying to get that clear.
Oh my god.
All that turn
Yeah.
4, like, just, ugh. I mean, it was definitely fun, like, there were definitely challenging moments, but I can't believe we struggled that much on T4 for that long. I think
Yeah.
I think I physically aged within that period. So.
You were like Yoshi P when he aged, when he developed the game.
Oh, totally, totally.
But yeah, it looks like a lot of people weren't happy with the story for Alexander, which I can actually agree with. It's from what we've seen so far. It's kind of just there.
Granted, it doesn't have like a huge $3 million trailer to kind of prod you
True.
to do it.
I mean,
But
we don't have this amazing CG trailer at the front of Alexander being like, come inside. But
yeah.
and then I do agree that Savage Mode should have had like, maybe a different side of the story to sort of incentivize people to go back in there. But it really didn't have anything.
So, do you think that the way that Binding Coil was designed, pretty much trying to get people in there to get that story, to be able to see what happens? Do you think that was a better incentive to? Do you think it was better designed just having that one difficulty mode, other than Second Coil's Savage mode?
Well, I can actually see, I agree, but then I can see the argument against that because by having a normal mode, like an easy mode, I guess, it allows more people to experience it, and they do spend a lot of money designing this content, so limiting it to a small fraction of the player base, like what Coil was, I believe, like the clear percentage for Coil is actually really low.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of people who've been in there is unfortunately not very high, and they spend a lot of money making that content. And they even they put a CG trailer in there, or a CG cutscene.
Yeah.
So to not have enough people go in and see that, I'm sure they kind of reevaluated where they were going with the raid, because obviously they're making the content, they want more people to see it. So I can sort of understand that argument, but on the other hand, making just one mode like with Coil definitely incentivized people to go in there and see the story and see that CG cutscene and see the cool bosses and stuff. So it can go either way.
So I'm reading a little bit of chat about what they thought about Binding Coil as opposed to Alexander. And there's one comment here that says the story was incredible, but I feel like the fights were less depressing and more fun. So I don't know, like, did twerking Bubba Butt Man feel really? Was that fight fun? I heard that fight was not fun for a lot of people. I heard the struggle was real with that fight.
The struggle was real with that fight, but honestly, once we were able to get it down, I feel like it's still a pretty fun fight once you know what to do. Like, I was actually to the point where I was almost kind of bored in there. I know that's sort of a bad thing to say because people really struggled on that fight, but I don't know. Like, I just wasn't interested in going back in there. Just not because it was hard, but just because, like, I wasn't interested in it anymore.
Let's see what else we've got to talk about in these patch notes here. So chat, like, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. So chat, like, I know that a lot of you have come in, like, in the last 10-15 minutes or so, but, like, what's the biggest feature of 3.2 that you're excited to try out for yourself? It can be, like, content, it could be, like, a new quality of life feature, and there's plenty of those this time, and we've been talking about them, too. We've been talking a bit about Duty Finder changes. Looks like there's going to be a new Tombstone level, which is Elegant Tombstones of Lore.
Yeah, they're also changing up the UI a little bit. The cooldown timers look different now.
Yeah, to, I guess, improve visibility.
Yeah, it's funny because they look sort of like there's this, I guess, custom add-on you can install for PC that sort of gives you something like that. So I wonder, like, I half wonder, like, the first time I saw it, like, if they use that as inspiration.
So, I guess we'll move on to like the next big thing that is coming in patch 3.2, and it's not for the hardcore this time, it's for the newbies, and it's the mentor system, Hall of the Novice. Basically, how to get good.
Yeah, and I feel like this has been a long time coming. They've talked about this for a long, long time.
So, if you're totally new to Final Fantasy XIV and you are totally new to MMOs altogether, what the game is going to do is it's going to allow veterans who meet certain requirements to call themselves mentors and be able to help you out. And you'll be able to help new people queue for new duties, give them tips, advice. There's even a special chat channel where you can basically help people out and advise them, like, hey, this is how to play your job, this is how to play your class. Like, yeah, you rolled a good gladiator, but you're gonna tank and not DPS.
Hey, to be fair, when I first made a character way back when, I saw the guy with the sword and I was like, that guy looks cool, so I want to be that guy.
Little did you know. Do you tell?
Little did I know that, gladiator has to be a tank.
Now, I'm curious. Now, have you really touched any tank jobs since that?
Well, I think my warrior's at level 30, or
Oh man,
around level 30 maybe.
that's nothing. Oh man, you're putting Red to shame right now.
He still might be a marauder actually, now that I think about it, but nah, no, I just have the paladin at level 50.
Yeah, Paladin. Paladin, for if Chad wants to know, is my main, and yeah, I guess the sword totally drew me to that class, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely, I don't know. It was
So-
definitely, my first choice, but then I found out that it was a tank, and I was like, nah, yeah, no.
so I'm sure it's probably similar to how a lot of people felt at first, is like, oh, I have to conform to like a tank or a DPS or a healer role based on what I chose. And I think that, as you can see in the patch notes, I've pulled it up, there's going to be more resources for people to figure out, hey, like, this is my role within a party. Like, I have to take all the hate. Like, all that enmity,
Yeah,
I've got to...
and I mean, you still see, if you've been in lower level dungeons recently, you still see people who don't really, I guess, realize that. Or they're in a post 30 level dungeon and they still haven't gotten their job crystal or anything, and you're like, okay.
But, with the mentor system, that's going to be nice because you'll be able to advise people, hey, like, you should really pick up a job.
Yeah.
Get a job, basically.
Get a job.
So, that's definitely going to be a cool thing. I'm definitely looking forward to helping people out in the mentor system to see how that all works out. There are rewards to it, but it seems like there's not that much, which is okay because, I feel if there were too many rewards, or especially if they tied like the tombstone acquisition to it, you get situations where, people would be, trying to farm it, instead of actually legit trying to help people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that's kind of bit them in the ass before because, you love doing Praetorium all the time, right?
Oh yes. Anytime Praetorium comes up, like when I was doing the relic, I made it my mission to go in there because the new person bonus is just so good. So every time I got Praetorium, I was like, yes, Praetorium.
So, I mean, as a person doing that for the first time, though, can you imagine how frustrated it would be to just have to go in there through the duty finder? I mean, going through the duty finder, it's probably something you're used to at that point, but having to skip all the cutscenes because people were trying to get that main scenario bonus.
Oh yeah, and that's what people do. They leave the person watching cutscenes behind, and that's not really fair to them.
Yeah, I remember taking someone through there maybe about a month ago, and I was just a little bit frustrated at the design of it still because, gosh, they had missed almost every fight. Because, for the first half of it, you can do these sack pulls where you pull the levers and you can kind of cheese your way to the bosses.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the problem then is that people they want to see, okay,
as
who
soon
am I
as you
fighting?
get to the first boss, though, that Magitech armor or whatever he is, he like you get that big cutscene with Gaius, and so it takes a while, and people are already running ahead.
I mean, I think from that point up until the very end of Praetorium, you can be sitting in cutscenes and all of a sudden, like, I'm locked out of a fight, and I just thought, oh man, if I was a new player, this is totally not fun. So, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to figure out how to fix it because I feel that if they were to make you sit through those cutscenes, or if they were to remove that bonus, that would definitely cut off the amount of people that would try to be doing it.
Oh yeah, they're really kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on this one because they want to incentivize people to go in there, but if people aren't going in there, then there's not going to be that many other people to help new people.
Yeah, so, fortunately in version 3.0 Heavensward, they really kind of avoided that by just designing the end game, or the end of the story, a bit differently, where you're doing a trial and you have
You have like
kind of
the
that barrier.
four-man dungeon, the Aether Chemical Research Facility. Yeah,
Yeah.
that place is
So,
really cool, actually.
I really hate saying this, but I've only been in there once, and that was the original story. I haven't gone back in there since.
Oh man. Well,
And
I feel like they made a mistake by not including it in the expert roulette.
yeah, it'd be kind of nice if they could, I mean, right now they have the two new dungeons and expert for each patch, and the dungeons that were in the previous patch kind of get kicked down to like what is it, like the high level. They're kind of like in this middle area.
There's like a level 60 roulette now, I think.
Yeah, level 60, where it's all
Yeah.
the top level dungeons.
Yep.
I mean, on the bright side, it's another category in which to earn daily tomestones, but I don't know. I would like to, maybe have more incentive to go back and do some of those dungeons. I say it now, like, I'm sure there's going to be more relic stuff in the future that's going to get us back in there. So I guess I'll just knock on wood right now. I
Yeah.
might be
Oh,
biting
I'm
off more than
sure.
I can chew.
Like the current relic definitely had us going back through all the old 2.0 dungeons, which was kind of, I don't know. It wasn't a good time.
So I'm kind of curious, I mean, we do have, like I had mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the community's kind of organized a Sunday Tower of Power, Crystal Tower kind of a thing, and I could definitely see that working for whatever they decide to do with the Void Arc in the future.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it might even be in the patch notes, but I think they're adding experience to Crystal Tower, which is,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, I think that's a good move to get people back in there.
Yeah, I went ahead and found it right here. Players at level 50 and above can now gain experience from all bosses in the following dungeons: Labyrinth, Circus, World of Darkness.
Oh, that's awesome. Maybe I'll actually finally get that minion. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious because it seems like there's not that much incentive to do them again other than minions, and I mean there's experience now, but I'm looking at this and it seems like the experience comes from bosses only. At least that's how it feels like it's worded. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'll try it out eventually.
So what other major things do we need to talk about here?
What about Stone Sky Sea?
Man, the dummy battle. This is another feature where you can get good.
Yeah, I actually really like this because, a lot of people, especially people who play on PS4 or PS3, don't have access to third-party programs that we probably shouldn't be talking about, but
Oh man.
yeah.
I won't tell Yoshi P if you don't.
No, I won't say anything.
So
But
this is so what is this?
so basically, this is a way for you to select from, a list of several different fights, and you will basically test yourself on a dummy, and you're given a time limit, and if you can beat the time limit, then you should be good to beat the DPS check in the actual fight.
Yeah, I know that people were requesting some sort of official way, like, they don't want you to use third-party software for a number of reasons, of course, but we're not going to go into that, but some sort of feedback system where, you could be able to tell, hey, I'm doing this amount of DPS, so I should be good for this fight, and you could definitely see people using it to, work on their rotations more, experiment, try to figure out how, other than reading your tooltips, how you're...
Well, not only that, but I think like the only other way to sort of tell before was the I guess the enmity bars, and even then that was kind of shaky.
Yeah, I think if as a wannabe mentor here, I think my biggest tip for people would be like, read your tooltips, figure out what your abilities actually do. If it says enmity on it, you probably want to use it as a tank.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the list of, I guess, fights that you can test yourself on, it looks like they have, I don't see Ravana on there.
Yeah, no, I don't see it.
But they have Bismarck, so maybe Bismarck is a problem for people? I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, when I went into, I've queued several times for the hard mode, and I've on multiple occasions seen them fail the DPS check on hard mode.
I have as well, so, which every time I get that in the trial roulette, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and I think that probably comes from the fact that, there are people from different experience levels intersecting, like, people who played the game for maybe a month or two, and then people who played for 2 years, like, why can't you get this? I mean...
Yeah, and I feel like the extreme mode is definitely one of those situations where you probably want to be on a voice program of some sort, just because of the coordination that has to go on, and there's an ideal order of killing things too, so not being able to do that, I can definitely see why people would have a problem with it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, for me personally, I felt like Ramu Extreme was the one that probably was the one that required the most coordination. Maybe Ramu or Shiva, possibly Mughal, but...
Yeah, Ramu, I'd say Ramu more than Lamar, maybe.
I think Ramu, it had to do with more of like,
like
when
getting people to like get you out of the the paralysis or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Even in hard mode, like, it's funny because even in hard mode, they'll get that tether and they'll just absolutely not know what to do with it, and then they'll kill themselves by DPSing the boss, and I can only just sit back and watch because I usually don't have enough time to type out, hey, do this, before they kill themselves, so it's always kind of fun, like a little popcorn moment.
Yeah, I've seen that plenty of times, so I definitely know what you're talking about.
So I know that there's some changes coming to tanks. I see Red talking about it in chat right now. So what's the deal with tanks? I guess they're gonna put more oomph and vit. Is that the deal?
Yeah, because the way it's been now is, or for 2 or 3.2 is a lot of tanks with spec strength, and a tank with strength is really a strong, and especially warriors, really strong DPS, and a lot of times that DPS was needed for some of the end game progression.
If you can meet like the vitality check, like you have enough HP and you can survive things, and you're able to keep up a decent amount of threat. I mean, any other effort should be probably towards DPS, and I think that's kind of a lot of the decisions that went behind strength tanks, and especially warriors, that if you're good on HP, if you're good on threat, then you might as well be doing as much damage as you can. And for Paladin, that was especially a struggle where,
Yeah.
a lot of our class design seems to be around mitigation, and it seems like Paladins really never had enough skills to really match the other two classes as far as damage output, and I think that's definitely why. Now, I'm assuming this. I'm definitely seeing why Paladin has been kind of like the runt of the three in the last patch or so.
Yeah, I mean it was, and I feel like some of that was a little unfairly placed on Paladin because, um, like in my static, we actually one of the tanks has gone Paladin for most all of Gordius except for 4 where he switched to Dark Knight. But I mean, like even A3 Savage was really no problem with a Paladin.
So what do you think of the Midas gear this time as opposed to Gordius or Binding Coil? Do you like how it looks?
I think the Midas gear looks great. I'm actually really excited to get the normal mode set just for glamour purposes. um, it's definitely improvement over Gordius. I don't know if it's better than some of the coil stuff yet though. Like I feel like it's better than the first Allegan sets. Um, maybe not some of the high Allegan though. Like I'm still all about the high Allegan healer set. The tank set's still really good, and even some of the Dreadworm sets were really nice. But I think I'll have to see it actually in the game before I can get a better opinion.
Scrolling down through some of these new items here, some of the new mounts that have been added. One new mount of Adamantois, what's the special feature being added to that?
His backpack's got jets.
Oh man. Oh, here,
And
this is what I was looking for. It's a picture of the... I can't tell if this is the Thornton one or the Sephiroth one, but it's the new flying mount that you can grind out of the Extreme one.
if I had to guess, it looks like the Sephiroth one. Just
The
because, like,
teal
there's...
wings.
Well, that, and he's got kind of like the kind of goldish color, and I don't know if it's just that screenshot or there's like a green glowy thing on him.
The one on top here is the Vath Beast Tribe mount, and
Yeah,
it looks really weird. It's like an insect, but it's huge.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about that. I was kind of hoping that we'd get like, I don't know, something else. Maybe like a tarantula hawk. I don't know if you've seen those in the game.
Oh yeah, I like the fate that's associated with them. The Tarantula Hawk Pro Stinger fate, and
Yeah, so I totally expected that, and then they showed this thing in the video, and I was like, what?
bugs are creepy.
Yeah. I mean, the Vanu Vanu mount is actually pretty awesome, so I'm glad I got that one.
I'm highlighting the new Chocobo barding, the Sephiroth one with the huge muscle arms, and it looks absolutely... I don't know what to say about this other than... sure?
He's gonna beat you up.
Man, he definitely looks like he could beat me up. Would not be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, he almost looks like, I don't know, almost kind of Gilgamesh-ish.
Yeah, kinda. Stronkobo. Chat. Oh man, and here's little Titan.
I still have to get the Ifrit one, actually.
Yeah, same here. Wait, maybe I had that crafted. I can't remember now. Oh man, I'm having a senior moment.
It's been too long.
You can also have your own little Foss now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Going through some of the achievements now.
He's not as cool as the Louis Swa minion you got from turn 13.
Oh, and then it would fight with the Wind Up Bahamut minion you got from... Was it one of the soundtracks, I think? Before Meteor? I think that was before Meteor, yeah.
No, it was...
Aroma Born, maybe?
It was one of the... It definitely wasn't before Meteor. That was the Dalamun.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think it was Aroma Born.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that one.
I'll have to check into that later. Going through some of these these achievement names. Are there any achievement names that stood out to you as pretty funny?
Let's see. I did actually laugh at the. Did you do the Valentine's
Oh yeah, the
seasonal thing?
Valentione's Day. Oh god, yeah.
The name of the quest was "What is Love," and I had to think that somebody in the localization team was like, "I really love Hadaway."
Oh man. That was actually pretty funny. You know, one thing I like about the seasonal events in Final Fantasy XIV is that coming off of WoW, it felt like such an obligation to do all of these because they tied like a ton of quests and achievements to it where, you know, to get like a really cool mount you had to do all of them over the course of the year, and it just felt like such a slog to go through and do, and they would tie like a ton of dailies to it where
Ugh,
it felt
gross.
like it was basically kind of like temporary versions of the Beastmen quests where you, and oh god, they had you running all over the world and stuff like that, which, you know, it was fun maybe like for the first day or two. Then it was kind of like, oh god, when is this going to be over? I hope I can finish before the time runs out. Whereas,
So I found the best achievement just now. Actually,
oh yeah,
it's for the mentor achievements. It's called "I hope mentor will notice me."
oh man, I hope Senpai will notice me now.
Yeah, it's uh, it's about what I expected.
Yeah, that comes from doing a bunch of duties in the duty roulette mentor, which, you know, if you're a mentor, you can actually queue for this, and that'll help you actually, you know, help newbies learn the ropes, and especially with, you know, some of the first dungeons. I mean, I don't think every dungeon is available to do in mentor roulette. I think everything like pre-raid is available though.
Oh, that's nice. I'm actually curious, like if they're gonna have any titles available for those, because they don't it doesn't really say.
Let's see. Yeah, it
Speaking
doesn't.
of titles, we better get one for Midas Savage this time because it was stupid that we didn't get anything for Gordius Savage.
Oh yeah, that's right. There wasn't one.
Like it was literally, oh hey, yeah, you guys can get your dyed gear and you know, maybe a mount and some weapons, but no titles.
I want to scroll down to the minion part of the item list because that's always the first part I check when they release the item list.
Yeah, I actually did that too. So
So we have Wind Up Nath, Wind Up Vath. I'm pretty sure those are going to come with the
the
Beast Tribe quests.
tribes, yeah, not surprised.
Wind Up Garuda, Wind Up Titan, Wind Up Leviathan,
Those are probably crafted again.
Wind Up Nero. Where do you think that's going to come from?
Maybe they'll use it as an incentive to go back in the Crystal Tower.
That's always a thought too.
Like, maybe, Labyrinth? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe they could add it to the that weekly quest that you can do.
Uh, yeah, like if it was a guaranteed thing, that would be amazing.
So we have Faustlet, which I'm pretty sure is self-explanatory. You know, I could see that being like some sort of reward for doing like the normal version of Midas. 'Cause it seems like there's like a Faust like enemy in there.
Yeah, if you watch the video, there's actually it looks like you have to fight two of them at once at some point, so that's gonna be interesting.
So chat says the full patch notes are finally up. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and pull those up now because we've been looking at the prelim ones right now.
Oh, my page messed up. Let's see.
I will go ahead and tweet those out to you on the Twitter.
Oh, there it goes.
Alright, so let's take a look through these and see if there's anything different. And usually there's a few changes with the full release, isn't there?
Yeah, usually a lot of it involves like crafting and items and stuff they don't want people to like destroy the marketplace trying to get before the patch. Sometimes it's like extra like battle system stuff or class stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely already more information here as far as like the specific crafting items. Looking through the items here. There's a Fenrir pup minion, which I am extremely excited to try to get.
Ooh, I see they put the eye level for Sephiroth Extreme. It's eye level 205 and above. So looks like people will need a little bit of gear to go in there.
Let's see if I can go ahead and find it here. I'll search Containment Bay and that'll probably find it.
Yeah, it's sort of up toward the top there.
Ah, the normal one is 190.
Yeah, I think that was in the original notes, but I'm really not surprised that they want you to be 190.
Yeah, it seems like it's not that high anymore.
No, and you know I've seen some people say that they're not even like 200 yet, and you know I have to kind of wonder like, what were you doing? Because they've been off like you've been able to get the twines, the upgrade items for the AF2 gear from Void Ark for quite a while now, so get that 210.
To kill, and if necessary, to die. Blessed children.
Yeah, nothing too much different I'm seeing here, and I'm sure that, you know, we'd have to spend quite a bit of time to look through and see what exactly is different, but...
Yeah, I mean they are, there's quite a bit here. I feel like this is probably one of the biggest patches they've had in a long time.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Experience
Which is
point
good
bonus.
because we've definitely needed something like this for a while.
By the way, if you do queue as a mentor, I believe you do get an experience point bonus.
Oh, well, don't you have to be level 60 to be a mentor?
Yeah, to be able to qualify as one. But I think that what you can do is, like, say I have a level 60 paladin, I can actually switch to maybe, like, my level 34 dark knight, and be like, hey, I can still help you out, and also get experience.
That makes sense.
So hopefully I can do that.
Yeah.
So there was a feature that they added in version 3.1, which was a idling camera and group pose quality of life feature, and they've been kind of updating it every once in a while. And in this one, your pets and minions will actually face towards the camera position now.
Yeah, I saw that, and they're also adding in some more poses, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, the victory pose. You can actually see the dragoon one in the Stone Sky Sea segment of the trailer.
Stone Sky Sea.
There's actually a new blog post that shows a couple of new ones too. Let me try to pull that up here. I think Kamate posted that earlier today. So this one is
some
the...
of these, whoa, some of the music things are actually crafted.
Oh, that
boy.
does not surprise me. Are the...
Oh man, Rise of the White Raven is a crafted item.
That does not surprise me.
Oh my gosh. So is From the Ashes, which Oh.
Oh, Answers is too.
So is basically all of the coil music is. So is the song for Ramu
Oh man.
and the circus tower music. Ah, Under the Weight as well. Oh my gosh, it's gonna break me.
I kind of wonder, like, let's see, who makes orchestrion rolls? Like, what? Alchemist, maybe?
That's a good question. Probably.
Seems like it's Who uses mithrite ink? I'm sure that would be like an alchemist, right?
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, it is alchemist.
Yeah, so it looks like all of the primal music, Ultima, all of the coil music is crafted stuff, which is actually kind of disappointing because I was ready to like go back in there and try and farm those out.
Seems like the recipes for these are not very strict at all.
No, but
Oh wait,
still.
no, maybe I spoke too soon. It seems like you need... Let's see. You need... Okay, let's see, what is the... It's called Thunder Rolls, right?
Yeah, that's Ramu.
So you need a faded copy of Thunder Rolls as part of the ingredients. So, do you get that from farming it?
I would assume so. It's like Weaver makes all those new primal minions, Titan, Leviathan, and Garuda.
Oh yeah, I'm scrolling down here and I see that faded copy of Answers comes from the Burning Heart.
Oh, that's awesome.
There, I highlighted it in like blue or gray here, but yeah. Oh, and some of these, oh yeah, White Raven comes from turn 9 for sure.
Oh man, that's great.
So yeah, you'll need these for the recipes, I'm sure. Yeah, the Crystal Tower ones all come from Crystal Tower. The dungeon ones come from the dungeons appropriately.
Yeah, I mean that's to be expected.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Sephiroth music is called Fiend.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming.
So I assume you'll need a blank grade 1, 2, or 3 orchestrion roll. And then one of these drops. To make some of
Oh my
these.
gosh, they just had to make this like super complicated, didn't they?
What were you expecting?
To be honest, I actually expected something closer to like what they do with Triple Triad, where you just, get the card.
I bet these are going to sell for a ton on the... I heard they're all tradable. I mean, the finished product, but not... I wonder if the drops are tradable, but the finished products are. I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, all of the, Yeah, there's one from the Etherochemical Research Facility.
Oh, hey, there you go. That's a.
Isn't it go back in there?
Gonna go back in there.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have to orchestrate some orchestrion farms.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that.
Oh, by the way, there were a few people that were asking about this before, but the Final Fantasy 13 items that you got from the Lightning event from so long ago, they're all going to be on the MOG station now to buy. So if you want to pick those up, those will be available on Thursday, February 25th. So not right away tomorrow, but later this week.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that in the last live letter.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had been asking me about that on my feed too. Like, hey, when are these going to be?
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. Let's see here. Anything else I can point
Did they
out?
ask you about dyeable high elegant gear? Because that's actually the most important part of this patch.
Oh man, yeah, that's a thing too. So, I assume that's going to be your new glamour.
Well, first of all, depends on how much it costs.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I really want to see what it looks like dyed first, because I really like, with the healer set, I really like how it looks already. So, we'll see.
I'm looking at one of these recipes here. Replica High Elegant Gloves of Healing. High Elegant Ether Stone. What's that? Does that...
Well, I know Yoshi said that there will be some items that you'll need to make that gear, and you're going to have to go back in the second coil to get it. So that's probably what that is.
Second Coil Savage, you think?
Nah, they wouldn't do that.
Or would they?
Nah.
Seems like you need Karimu Leather, Arachne Velveteen, Battlecraft Demi-Materia.
Wow, Demi-Materia.
Relevant again, right? Well, I actually just made the Morbid Mod Blade, which it's kind of funny because I logged in one day and I got the Kingly Whisker in my random retainer roulette crap. And it was like,
yeah.
okay, I've been trying to like get that forever, and all of a sudden, just in my retainer inventory, I brought one
Yeah,
back.
mine actually gave me one too, and I'm still trying to sell it actually. So I imagine a bunch of people have been getting those, and the market price has been driven down.
Last time I checked, they were selling for like 12 to 14 mil. Maybe it's
well,
lower now.
It's a lot lower now. When I put mine up, they were down to like 4.
Yeah, I decided to make the sword because it looks really cool, so.
Yeah, it does look cool.
So, do you know anything about new crafting sets for the new raid that they kind of want to get people started on?
Yeah, so they're bringing back crafted gear after not really, like, they sort of had that stuff around for Gordius, but like the feasibility of actually getting it and using it wasn't worth it. Like, I don't know a lot about crafting because I don't craft, but like getting just one thing was too much of a hassle, so people decided not to do it. Well, most people anyway.
So I'm scrolling down and it's almost way at the bottom, but I'm looking at the answers Orchestrion roll, and it says you need blank grade 3 Orchestrion roll, which is obvious, but you need an enchanted Aurum Regis ink. You need a faded copy of Thunder Rolls, faded
What?
copy of Rise of the White Raven, and faded copy of Answers.
Wow.
So you need to
That's,
farm all 3 to get Answers?
Well, Thunder Rolls is Ramu.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
So you need turn 9 Ramu, possibly Extreme, and
And then-
T13.
Welp.
Good luck assembling that group, because we'll see.
Yeah. Or good luck getting it for your own personal house, I guess.
So have you done T13 unsynced at all?
Yes, it's
So-
hilarious.
I haven't yet, and I'm really curious. I know me and you went in there like that one day when we just said
Oh, we were
fuck it,
goofing around, yeah.
yeah, and we managed to get to like the split phase, like just the 2 of us. Like that first, it was like what the hell. So yeah, I guess have people been like formatting it or less even?
Yeah, I mean, basically you go in there and like I was in there trying to get the new people bonus for my relic stuff, and
Hmm.
I mean it's the fights become such a joke now. It's actually kind of depressing because you skip so much, and you only get like one ad and
I
in the
wonder if
beginning.
you
And
even need to. I mean, it's going to be weird. Like, okay, so let's say 4.0 comes out and we have a level cap increase to 70, and you go back into T13 and it's like, do I even need to pop cooldowns? Like,
yes, apparently you do. We did find out that much.
oh man, bummer. I was just hoping I could, like, DPS it as a paladin with our super DPS skills. Strength
It's
paladin, so OP, right?
like I went in there on a scholar, and like even in the last phase, it was still pretty scary.
So I guess there's a Sephiroth root and a Sephiroth tree. I don't know if it's like furnishings or.
It's probably like the hard mode and extreme items. Usually they do two different ones, and then they both, like one probably makes the barding and the other makes the housing item.
Yeah, it looks like it's outdoor furnishings.
Ah, yeah.
Sephiroth themed outdoor furnishings.
Sephiroth Sap is probably the hard mode one, and the Fiend Sap is probably the extreme one.
On the dinosaur stuff too. Dinosaur skeleton.
I kind of want that, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I have an idea why. Does it have to do with a certain movie?
Well, maybe. Maybe. When I first saw the dinosaur enemies in 14, I was like, "This is the best game ever." Like when they what was in Diadem, they added the Brachiosaur. Oh yes.
I'm curious now, maybe you can find it before I do, but I'm kind of curious to see what you need to make the orchestrion straight up.
Let's see. I like how it says you can't place it in a company workshop.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, there's also one in the in room, allowing people
Oh,
to
that's
change.
nice.
Yeah, so then it says, with several exceptions, most orchestrion rolls can be traded or sold on the market board. And a new category on the market board, orchestrion components, has been added. The log for the orchestrion will be unlocked once you use a roll for the first time or access the machine for the first time.
Huh, interesting.
But I don't see anything about like actually crafting it, so maybe you just automatically get one? I don't know.
So we're kind of coming up on our 2-hour mark here, which is kind of how long we usually want to have these go. Tonight's show is a little bit impromptu because we knew you guys were probably really anxious to start playing the patch, and that's going to be up in just a couple hours now, isn't it?
About 5 hours, maybe more, maybe less, depending on what they're doing.
So the plan for this week is me and Aaron are probably going to be doing some live streaming of patch 3.2 on this channel. So if you want to watch us stream and comment about that, definitely hit subscribe. And that'll let you know in your email inbox when we go live. I had been streaming a lot of Final Fantasy IX on Android to see how that went, which was actually surprisingly well. I'll probably be putting that on hold till next week. But we also want to do another show. We want to do another looking forward to it. Pull Damian in here and go through expectations versus reality regarding 3.2.
I'm really curious to hear his opinion on the whole mount farming struggle. So.
Oh God, it's probably gonna be one of the first things he does. He's probably gonna say, "Screw stories, screw anything else. I want to get that flying mount."
Well, you know it.
It's gonna be nice because, well, it seems like Sephiroth is not gonna be unlocked through the main story this time. It's through like a side story.
Yeah, it's part of a completely optional side quest. It looks like, which is nice because, you don't have to sit through the story if you don't want to, and people can pretty much go in there right away, it sounds like. So I think I might try doing that when the servers come back on.
Yeah, and if you do skip a lot of things, you can actually go back and watch all the cutscenes in your in-room or your... I'm kind of wondering, like, if they're going to add, like, the unending journey or never-ending journey, the cutscene book to any other part. I don't think you can do it in your private estate room or your estate period. So
no, you can't.
Yeah, seems like that's relegated to in-rooms only for the time being.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I don't think I've seen anybody ever bring that up, but if we get a chance to talk to the dev team again, we should maybe bring that up.
So, just to maybe hint a little bit about that, we're trying to get something like that worked out. What you're going to have to explain to me what the details are about that, because do you think it's involving talking to a certain person who does a lot of work on this game, and their initials are MCKF?
Yeah, I'm actually really good friends with him, and he's basically, up for whatever. So we're gonna put together some really cool things for you guys, hopefully.
Man, I'm so down because I really love the lore in this game, and I have a lot of questions to ask him. But I'll try to restrain myself because I know you guys probably have a lot of questions for Koji Fox as well. So we want to be able to get those to you as well. So hold on to your questions right now. Me or Aaron will probably make a tweet on our Twitter about when we want to start accepting questions, and we want to send them off to him for a cool little interview sometime in the future. So with that, I think what we'll do is kind of call it a wrap. What I'm going to be doing this week is recording some stuff for our YouTube channel, like, hey, this is what the Anti-Tower looks like, do like a little video. I'm not going to talk over it, I think, because the dungeons themselves aren't, terribly troubling to... I mean, a lot of people who are vets probably don't need a guide, but there are probably a lot of people who maybe are unsubbed right now, maybe want to see what the dungeons look like, and maybe come back at some point in the future. So I'm going to be putting out content on the Twitch and YouTube. Me and Aaron are going to stream, so we're going to definitely have 3.2 covered. Other than that, is there anything else that we should be looking forward to on the site? I do want to write something up, and this has kind of been swirling around in my head. I do want to write a little something about why 3.2 is a good time for people to start playing Final Fantasy XIV. Part of that's the mentor system. Part of it's other reasons, but look forward to that on novacrystallis.com. We're going to be covering 3.2 all week for sure, as well as other Final Fantasy and Square Enix stuff. There's definitely a lot of that going around too. There's Final Fantasy 15 stuff to look forward to. I believe next month is going to be a big month for that game. So we're prepared to cover that in all of its gloriousness.
Yes, we are. And but right now we're like Tony said, we're focusing on 14 since it's out. The patch is out in about 5 hours, and there's plenty to look forward to in this patch. And to be honest, I haven't been this excited for a patch since probably 2.2 when the second coil of Bahamut came out. And anyone who's played through that patch knows that it was pretty big, and people were excited, and there was a lot of stuff to do, and I feel like we finally come around to that again.
Yeah, so definitely either this weekend or next we're going to do an impressions video of 3.2. We're going to look back and say, here were our expectations, here's what we really thought after all the content was done. After we got through most of the content, I don't think that we're going to get through all of Midas Savage in 2 weeks, but hey,
No, probably not.
hey, you never know. Like, why not push for that world first or something? And that'll be
About
something
that.
to, that is one topic of conversation, because I do believe they had said something like Midas Savage would be on par with, like, Coil
Final
level
Coil.
difficulty, Final Coil.
Yeah,
So,
Final Quill,
yeah, it'll be
which
interesting
I think
to
is a great
see.
thing. I'm actually super happy about that. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm
I mean,
very curious.
They expect people to beat it within 2 weeks, which means people are going to beat it in one, and that just means that more people will be able to clear it and hopefully, farm it for much longer.
So we'll shoot for Sunday for our next episode. Pull Damian in here and see what he thinks, and we'll see if we have a topic that involves talking about world firsts or not. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have something.
All right. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to know when we go live with more shows or stream content. And definitely check out Nova Crystallis, our mother website for updates on Final Fantasy XIV and a bunch of other games. So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.